Amen. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gift that this Newman Center is to us, and especially to the ASU community. We ask you to make us good stewards of this community, that we might reach many souls with the gospel of Jesus Christ and draw them into the love of the Father and draw them deeper into faith. We ask you, Lord, to send your Spirit to be with us here this morning, and that we might be good, faithful stewards of all that you've entrusted us with. Through Christ our Lord. Amen. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Well, good. Well, welcome. We're calling this our 2024 annual update. The implication being that maybe we'll try to do one of these each year. So I think just as a general matter of just sort of stewardship and giving you all a sense of kind of what we're up to and all the discussion we have as staff and with our students and everything here. So I'm sort of going to try to make this somewhat as brief as I can while covering all the main things. There are a lot of things I sort of had to leave out. But I'm going to kind of race through things, but then at the end, plenty of time for questions. So basically, as you know, one of our first little dilemmas here at ASU is that we're cheering for the devil all the time, right? Cheering for the devil. So we sort of scratched our heads over that, and we said, well, maybe what we can do, maybe our motto here at Newman can be that we are turning devils into seeds, right? That's sort of our you can see Sparky there, discarding his horns and putting on his halo. And so that's sort of our as people of faith, that's what we're all sort of trying to do, is expel demons and devils from our lives and grow into holiness and become saints. Our main mission, so what are we all about here at Newman? Well, as a Newman Center, the reason we exist, our raison d'etre, is to serve our students here on campus. If it weren't for our students, we wouldn't be here. There are plenty of parishes elsewhere that people would go to. And so in that sense, we're not like a typical parish. We're not a neighborhood parish like other churches. We're what's called a personal parish, which means that our mission is to the persons, the people of ASU in our case. And so that's kind of our framework for understanding kind of everything we do here at Newman. And so when we're assessing, kind of what are we doing now and what do we want to do in the future, it always kind of comes back to that. How are we accomplishing our mission in terms of serving our students? Also, our faculty and staff are also part of our mission. That's an area that we haven't really developed that much yet, and we have other things on our plate right now, but that might be a long-term. So what does that look like? Well, how do we then help students grow in their faith? Basically, it's kind of three basic stages. So the first stage is that we want to form them, right? We want to form them, and so that means take your typical student who sort of, high school days, maybe they went to youth group, maybe not, maybe they went to mass, maybe not, but somehow they find themselves here. Okay, now that they're here, we want to take them in and really help them grow in their faith, to know, love, and serve, right, to do all those things that we as Catholics do. How do we form them? Well, a number of different ways, but sort of the first step of formation is our Newman nights, which are every Wednesday. So every Wednesday, we invite our students here. We've had huge crowds this year so far. It's been great. Last year was kind of a rebuilding year for us, but we were having maybe 80 to 100 people last year. Now we're around 150 here. So, 100. Ryan is our campus minister here, so we're having really wonderful numbers, and that's sort of the easy invite. Like, hey, just come, hear a good talk, free dinner afterwards, and it's just sort of a kind of a welcoming environment for everyone. But then, so that's like the first stage of formation, and through that they'll maybe learn things about Catholicism they never thought about before. But then our second stage is really, we're hoping to kind of drive them into small group formation. So these are things like Bible studies, or we have like men's and women's groups where they meet weekly, they have some kind of program each week, and it's also a chance where they can kind of, there's more discussion than would be available obviously in a large group format. It's really a chance for them to kind of wrestle with whatever they're wrestling with here on the college campus, and really grow in their faith in that. So that's sort of our hope, is that we sort of cast this wide net first, but then we try to encourage them to move this. So here, this is one of our Bible studies that was taking place out on the lawn. So that's sort of our first stage in this mission. Then the second stage is that we want to send them. So initially maybe when they come here as a freshman, they're sort of on the receiving end of this formation. We're teaching them things, they're learning all kinds of things, but they sort of have a passive posture. And at some point we want to, have that shift in mentality, which we're all called to as Catholics, to be actually evangelizers, right, for the faith, to share their faith with others and to invite others to consider whether faith might be the right thing for them. And so this is sort of the send part, maybe for the more mature students who are here, where we're going to send them out onto campus. We already have a fledgling group of student leaders that are kind of what we have 8 or 10 student leaders who are kind of have taken on that mission for themselves and are inviting their friends. One of the things we've learned is that we can talk all you want to, but the most effective invites come from friends. It's not from us so much. And so these student leaders are sort of doing that. We have our missionaries. I'll get to those in a second. This is a picture of us at actually sort of a Protestant worship event, but we were invited to come and table there, and we had amazing discussions. And you can see I went with a number of our students, and yeah, we had some great discussions. A lot of former Catholics that we touch base with there and stuff. And so that's the kind of thing that we're inviting our students to do, is to go out on the campus, whether it's something formal like tabling or just informal conversations. But that's part of your role as a Catholic, is to invite other people into relationships. And then finally, what is this all aiming towards? Well, at some point they're going to graduate, hopefully. And once they graduate, what is really our goal? Our hope is that upon graduation, they're going to return to their parishes or go to a new parish where they're moving, wherever. And they're going to be obviously, faithful Catholics there. They're going to be attending Mass, but also ideally, our leadership training that they received here is going to empower them to, they show up in a parish and they, hey, Father, I can help, I can lead a Bible study, I can lecture, right? I can do some of the things that parishes need. And so that's, the renewal of parish life is really, I think, the great call of our generation, our present circumstances. And so this is kind of what our hope is for our students. So that's sort of our main, our main mission. Okay, so then with that in mind, just some practical things that we've sort of been undertaking here recently. So first of all, I don't have to show a picture because he's live in the flesh. So Ryan Ayala, our new campus minister. So Ryan came on board last year in a part-time capacity and did such a stellar job, if I may say so, that we were to bring him on full-time this year. And so Ryan's first full-time campus minister we've had since COVID, really. So and that's been making a lot of what we've been doing with campus ministry. It's because of him and his labors. We also have this is a picture of Newman night, and this is one of our Newman nights, and of course, again, we're doing that on a weekly basis and having so far in this semester great results. We also as part of our outreach, I didn't put it on here, but we also have a new app, ASU Catholic. You can download it yourself if you're interested. And it's actually been kind of a game changer for us, because this is where students are. They're on apps, and they can see all our upcoming events for the year. They can register for events. They can join these different Bible study groups and all these other groups out there. So that's been a great success. We also have 9 missionaries here. 5 are from Focus. You saw the Focus seat table outside there. 5 Focus missionaries, and then we have 4 SPO missionaries, St. Paul's Outreach missionaries. And so they both, all 9 of them, are sort of running these small groups. They're out there on campus, shaking, literally, what do they call it, barehanding. Just go up to people, like, say hi, ask them something interesting, start conversations, and then invite them to these small groups. So we pay for like half of their salaries basically while they're here, and then they're responsible for fundraising the other half. We also, we've had a lot of success we've started some cultural affinity groups as well. So we have a Latino group that's going great. We have an Indian group. They're actually praying the rosary right now in the church, and we're going to go out to lunch afterwards. And we have and we just started the African group this year. So all African students are now kind of getting together as well. So those have been a lot of fun for people. And then finally, this last aspect is Mary College. So Mary College is in the Brick Chapel right next door. It's our Catholic affiliated institute where our students can take classes in Catholic studies and get ASU credit for it, which is amazing. It's really amazing. And so that's something Ryan and I have been kind of working hard to grow. The numbers have been sort of small historically. We're really, it's a really incredible opportunity. We really want, like if you're a student here, you're coming to Newman regularly, at least one of your courses you need to take over there, because of course in Catholic studies you got to take one already for your ASU, humanities and history and all these other things. Take one here, right? So you can kind of go. This year, I think this year we have record numbers there at Mary College, which is really really great. And also they've also been approved to do the training for our Diocese of Phoenix seminarians. So now seminarians are now on campus. We're seeing them around here every day. A couple things just with some of our physical setup here. So a couple of changes and stuff within our walls. So one of the things happy to announce here is that Father Rob is very eager to move forward on a dream that he had ever since the church was constructed, which was to get a pipe organ up in the choir loft, an official organ. You may know that ASU actually has a wonderful professional organist program, their music program. And they've actually already expressed an interest. If we were to put something like this together, there would be some collaboration and musicians could come over here. But of course, its primary use would be for us and for our liturgy. And so Father Rob has been in talks with a organ company. There's, I think the present proposal on the table is, I'm not sure, depending on how many ranks and everything you get, somewhere between $500,000 to $1 million. And so we're looking to perhaps start the fundraising effort for that, I'm guessing maybe in a few months or something like that. Another change you might have noticed actually at Masses. I wasn't here. We had student lectors, I believe, right?
Yes.
Who was it? Who was their name?
Luca and Noel.
Luca and Noel. Very good. Yeah. So this was one of the things that Father Rob and I wanted to, again, as a Newman Center, if we're forming students, raising up students should really, at least during the academic year, students should have the spotlight. They should be the ones, and they're the ones that are learning how to be lectors and learning how to contribute to their community. So our plan, I think this more or less helped out. Rick was very helpful with sort of scoping out our plan. But our present plan is that we're going to have student lectors at all the Sunday masses. The Saturday mass we're going to leave as is, but all the Sunday masses we're going to have student lectors. But then of course when the academic year ends, when summer comes, we're going to need our resident parishioners to kind of step back in to fill those. Well, as you all know, we of course have consolidated our two masses, our 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock masses into one. There's one 10 o'clock. Again, that was a discussion amongst our staff, and we felt that, well, there are these two masses that are kind of like diffusing our people, and felt like we didn't really need, we ought to try and maybe not having two, just have one. And I don't know if you're of the same opinion, but for me as a celebrant and preaching at that mass, there's just like an energy to having like a full church. There's an excitement there, and like I can hear it like in terms of like people singing and responding. I think both Father Rob and I felt like, this is like really, it's exciting. The main concern there for us was just like, is everyone going to fit? We've been doing that now for what, 4 or 5 weeks. There's been plenty of room every time, and I think maybe part of the trick is like getting people to slide in, so the latecomers can have a seat. So we might, I'm not sure how to manage that, but I think at least in theory, it seems like that's working well. I think everyone I've talked to about it is pretty happy.
There are always people staying in our flesh. There always are.
Yeah.
I think there's probably, if people would scoot together, there's probably room for them. If people don't scoot, or they don't move,
well, actually, I hadn't thought about this before, but in addition to lectors, we're actually also trying to get greeters at every mass. So 2 student greeters that'll just kind of welcome people at the door, hand out literature. They'll help us with some of the logistics, taking up the collection and stuff. And so maybe the greeters could be helpful in encouraging people to slide in. So
The other problem with that is, with so many people in the church, I mean, this is a practical thing. The parking lot is full,
Yes,
so
parking lot is
people
another
have to
challenge.
go in the Fulton Garage.
Yep.
And pay to park
Yep.
to come to Mass.
Yep.
So you're charging, not you, but
Yep.
I mean, representing the Newman Center.
Yep.
Is charging for people to come to Mass when at 9 and 11, there is space.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah,
That's
parking is another.
And I know the university changed that.
Yep.
Before you came, that was
Yep.
free.
Yep. Yeah, so, parking, to me,
Parking is
the main
the issue.
challenge, the main challenge was the parking situation.
So-
Well, this is sort of another conversation, but, we're actually probably at some point gonna be, we may be losing our parking lot, at least half of our parking lot spaces, because that property will get sold. So, yeah, it's gonna be a changed parish, there's gonna be a changed dynamic here, where I think it'll be harder for, people coming from a distance, it's just part of the reality of being a downtown town.
But even students don't all live on campus.
Correct, yeah, correct, yep. So, and then, of course, obviously you all know Sacred Art. We did our third stage now of the Sacred Art installation. So the eventual plan is to have the whole building painted. I mean, I don't know if there's a sketch of it in the narthex. You can take a look if you haven't seen it, but it's really a beautiful vision. And so even just this third stage, I think has been a great, it's been really a great success. People walk in there and we actually had a freshman show up for the first time. He wasn't even Catholic, and one of our missionaries kind of showing him in the chapel, pointing out this and that. The guy's like, hold on, stop talking. He's like, I have to sit down. like, look at this. He was really amazed by it. He'd never seen anything I think like it in the Protestant church. So yeah, that's been a great move for us. And yeah, like I said, we're hoping maybe over the next, 5 to 10 years that the rest of the chapel will get painted. A couple things around our campus. One of the things that Ryan worked on hard this last year was getting our new coffee cart up and running. The coffee cart is right out on the corner in front of Mary College. During the week, what is it, Monday to Thursdays, I think, right? Yeah. And so they're out there. The cool thing, this coffee cart is not just a financial enterprise. It is the guys that we hired. They're actually they were Newman students up at NAU when just not too long ago. They're pretty recent grads, and so they are both very faithful Catholics, and so we want to use that. That's one of these spaces where people that would not normally set foot inside our campus, well, they're walking by. This is the most heavily trafficked intersection in the state. They're walking by there every day, encountering these guys serving coffee. But these guys are also we're inviting. We put invitations in their hands, like events that we have coming up. We think might be good for just sort of the random passerby, and so these guys are kind of there. Also, another change that looks like it's probably going to be coming in the next maybe 2 years or so is that the city of Tempe wants to put a pedestrian overpass or underpass right here at our intersection. Again, this is the most foot trafficked intersection in the whole state. As anyone knows who's driven down University, it can get pretty clogged up during school days. And so they are in discussions right now about whether it's going to be a bridge or an underpass. Newman is very against the bridge. And I think we probably have some diagrams of it out at the entrance. However, the underpass, I'm actually increasingly sold on it. I think it could be a nice, just a nice addition to our overall campus. And I mean, as soon as a student comes into the underpass on that side of campus and walks up over here, they're literally right at our corner, right next to the chapel. And so this is one rendering of a possible way that underpass. Okay. A couple words on finances. You might recall the diocese some years back put together the Together Let Us Go Forth campaign, of which Newman centers were to be some of the main beneficiaries. And so we finally got our payment from that, the promised amount of $4.25 million from the diocese. It has to be used for building projects. And so we are discussing what that's going to look like, but an important part is that this dirt lot that's right here, that's our land, that's our property, and we really need more space where we're in really cramped quarters here. And so the goal is to at some point put up a building there. How big or how much we don't really know, but I would guess maybe $10 to $15 million cost that it's going to run us. And so, but that's something that's badly needed. Similarly, as I mentioned before, we entered into an agreement a couple of years ago with a company to They want to buy our parking lot and put up a big apartment building there, like what they have. We would have some parking spaces in that new building, but it would be about half of what we presently have in this parking lot. And so we were all ready to go forward with that, but then the commercial real estate market, apparently nationwide, there was kind of this big pullback, and they lost their finance. This architecture firm lost their financing, and so they said, well, we can't buy it right now, but they said, well, we'll buy it in 6 months, so we'll buy it in a year. So we're sort of in a holding pattern right now. We're not quite sure where that's and finally, one of our efforts this year is to kind of beef up a little bit our development efforts. Development is fundraising. We have, for the size of our mission, we have an extremely modest budget here. I mean, we basically have 80,000 souls on campus. A similar parish would have a budget of maybe $10 million or something. We're scraping by 1.2 million is our budget, and so an important part. Well, obviously, our main congregants, students, don't tend to be the biggest contributors, and so this is really a thing where we as Newman, we need to kind of get our message out there about the work that we're doing here, and invite people who are passionate about our mission, basically pass on the faith to the next generation, invite them to invest in us and invest in the work that we're doing. So we have a couple of ideas. So Chris is our development officer, and Chris and I have been kind of putting our heads together and thinking about, okay, what does this look like strategically? How do we get the message into the hands of the right people? But part of that is relying on you all. You all know, you have friends, you have alumni, you know alumni of the Newman Center, and to encourage them to be supporters of what we're doing. Okay, and then finally, speaking of which, last thing, just a couple of things of how you can help. So obviously your contributions, we're so grateful for whatever you donate. I mean, that's the bulk of that 1.2 million that we're sort of getting by with. So thank you for your generosity. We have on our website, we have a section called Support Us, and it has a number of things on there. You can just do regular donations and all that there. But also, more specifically, we've added some specific campus ministry needs, some things that Ryan has identified that we just need for ministry. One of them is getting a laptop right here, so I don't have to haul my personal laptop all around the place. There are a number of things on there that we just we need, so you can check that out if you're inspired. We also just this year we're starting out kind of excited about this effort. So Mike Santoro, maybe some of you knew him. He passed away very suddenly. I think he was 45-ish, I think, but he was a foodie. And his family decided, as a good maybe tribute to Newman, they wanted to start up Santoro dinners. And Santoro dinners are going to be Sunday evening dinners for the most part. That after our Sunday masses, we sort of identified this need that, like, once in a while it'd be nice to host our Sunday evening students for a dinner, just a chance to build community there. And so it looks like we're off and running. We got a number of half a dozen Santoro dinners have been funded. We're having a monthly dinner now for the year. So again, if that was something you're interested in, you could check that out. Second thing, Ryan has also recognized that there's sometimes things need to be done around here, and students may or may not be available or the most committed or whatever. And I think, as Heward and I were talking about this, apparently years back, Newman Center had like 50. A group of 50 or so of our resident parishioners who said, I can help out with whatever campus ministry needs. And we want to kind of, that for whatever reason fell away, but we want to kind of resurrect that and get a good group of core parishioners that Ryan can call kind of on an as-needed basis, not necessarily anything regular at this point, but just like, hey, I'm short of people for this, or I need a truck for that, or whatever, things like that, that people can help. So he's the guy to talk to if you're passionate about that. If you haven't connected your Fry's card to the Newman account, please do that. It costs you nothing, and it gets us a little cash, so that we'd be very grateful if you could do that. And finally, of course, Chris has a mailing list. Perhaps some of you are already on it, but if not, you could just sign up for our emails. What do you send? Maybe half a dozen or 4 emails a year, something like that.
Some more this year.
Okay, some more this year, yeah.
Are those from Chris or from?
I mean, we write and then Chris sends. He knows.
But they say it's like from Mother Rock.
From us, yeah, that's right. Yep. So, so those are the things. All right, so we can kind of end it there, and then I invite your thoughts, your questions, your comments, feedbacks, Chrysler Heresy.
I just have one concern.
Yep.
Just express my concern over the plan to go with solely student, student lectures in Mass. I'm not concerned about the inclusion of students, I'm concerned about the exclusion. People like myself, I've been a parishioner here for 6 years, and my particular talent and interest is in spreading God's word through reading, readings of occasional Mass. And it bothers me that we will be now in this plan excluded, except for the particular windows that I understand we're talking about, holidays and summers when students are not here. Certainly, obviously, the more students, the better. I think that's great to have students involved, but I think there are a lot of ministers like myself that would like to continue our involvement and would not enjoy the idea of being restricted to limited times during the year. And I'm wondering, could we consider a paradigm? I think it would actually be pretty cool each week to have one reading done by a student and one reading done by a non-student.
Okay.
And I've been a reader here since we started coming here Memorial Day weekend in 2018. We have a parish that's a half a mile from our home in Mesa, St. Timothy's, where we went for 35 years, and we proactively chose to no longer go there because we like coming here. So we drive an extra 15, 20 minutes. And I can't say for sure, but I would imagine that I speak for a lot of my fellow non-student lectors that we would like to be able to be included in that ministry more frequently than just the times when students are not on campus.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, heard and registered, and yeah, this was something that I spoke about with some of our lectors first. So one of the things that actually Ryan has taught me, I don't know if I ever told you this, in doing campus ministry, I'm kind of a hands-on sort of guy. I like to kind of be there, make sure things are running properly. And Ryan sort of has had a different approach, which has been valuable for me to learn, which is the students need to step forward and they need to kind of have accountability, take responsibility, and even make mistakes, right? Because that's part of the way that they're going to learn and grow. And I realized that as I was kind of coming, swooping in and like, okay, I'll handle this crisis, or I'll run things. You don't need to do that. I realized what am I doing is I'm stunting their growth. And so, I think that for all of us, and this is for myself included, I think our task, and it kind of goes against my nature too, so I sympathize, but I think we really need to step back and allow our students to shine, right? That this is their place. They want them to know that this is the place where they can take responsibility, and Ryan's kind of big motto this year has been, let students run things. Let students run things, and we learned that from Texas A&M, which is kind of one of the premier campus ministries in the country, where you show up there and the students are running everything. They're, all the adults are sort of behind the scenes, hidden there. So I think, yeah, it is a cultural shift, certainly. One of the things I'll say is that if you're eager to read, again, Saturday Masses, that's still for our adult lectors, and that would be a good one. And then, yeah, definitely over summer and probably over Christmas, those would be good times to consider stepping back. So, yeah, Paul, hopefully, yeah.
Four thoughts, so just
Yep.
jump around.
Okay.
I think having a specific place for the broader community, or the older community, to plug in would be useful. I think the Halo Helpers is good, but maybe it's like mentoring.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
sitting, like at Franciscan, they have the household play program where they have households, but then there's also sort of an adult sort of advisor, a household advisor for those households to kind of give support. But if they're like intent, like people want ways to help.
Yeah.
And they want and if there's like, okay, these are specific needs, I think people are going to plug in and volunteer for those. I guess my second thought is we have a lot of people coming.
Let me just a brief comment on that. So I think that's a great long-term goal. Is that one of the things I would love to have is have our alumni and other interested adults have mentor programs for our students. Oh, you're studying architecture. I'm an architect. Let me teach you. I don't need to teach you about architecture because you're learning that here, but I can teach you about being a Catholic architect, right, and what that means. And so I think that's a great long-term goal. That's something that we have to build up over the years. But yeah.
And there's the mentoring and that sort of in the career sense, but also I did the altar serving program when I was here 10, 15 years ago. And so you need someone to go to, and how do I organize the altar server list? Just somebody to sounding board on that, other than you, Father. But I think there's some dynamics there. Second, we have a lot of people coming to the Mass. Are we getting enough fundraising from the Mass collections from the 10 o'clock Mass? And do we need to encourage folks a little bit more?
Yeah,
I don't think
that's a fair question. I guess I would ask, well, what should we expect from that? And yeah, I don't know.
It comes across really badly from the clergy, but I think people see like Rick is just doing stuff for the parish. We're doing donuts. Trevor's like doing all sorts of stuff. If you had one of us go up there and just sort of say, hey, here's where we're at financially, here's what we really need to do. Can you do an extra $100 a month or something? I think like people at the Mass asking before the Mass is a big coming from the priest, because if it comes from clergy, it's just a lot of people get weird about that. And we're the body of Christ.
I can talk with Father Rob about that.
I mean, I'm just
he might be
I think
interested.
the third thing is even like more. So at Notre Dame, there was like the campus ministry, but there was also the parish at Notre Dame. Like in the 10-year plan, it may be useful to have the ASU parish, and then the parish, then the community parish that meets at ASU. Now we get the bishop would have to, it would be a separate parish. It would be in support of it, but then there would be the family ministry, just one man. So like at ASU it was like, at Notre Dame it was like in the crypt at like 9 o'clock. In the crypt they had the parish mass, and that was like local families who met in the crypt of the basilica. I think there's obviously Notre Dame, a very different place, but there is some. You'd be able to support there'd be some financial reasons to do it. You would also sort of address some of these issues where there's a really beautiful chapel here. I mean, if you could have a parish here that was a parish supporting the parishioners, but it's also going to be started supporting the facilities, because the money will then be, the legal and financial is going to be a little bit funky, but I think in the long run, that may be a model worth considering, especially if Ryan's successful.
Because the people of the adults here, we are choosing to come. We are choosing this over the parish that we're really in the boundaries of. So that, as Paul just expressed, there is that community, but we're very diverse. We're not neighbors to, we're not physical neighbors to each other. So that, that's an issue too. Of course, the students, that's the priority, but there is, because I sing and I look down and I see families, which you the three of us, see the families and the non-student population. So it's a balance, but
it's a beautiful church. And that really raises the prayer. And I'm not going to name any of the churches which are 5 miles from here, which are not so beautiful.
not quite as beautiful, yeah. That's
right. We could draw a circle.
So this is part of the kind of the difficult situation about community centers. Is I think one of the things where the reason I laid out that mission is just as a reminder, like why are we here, right? Why do we exist, right? Again, we're not like a typical parish, right? We're here for our students, which is not to say that only students can come here. But if you're not a student and you're coming here, it's because you're passionate about our mission, right? That's the reason that you would come here to Newman. And so to kind of invite our resident Christians into this mission where we are student focused, student driven, and our goal is to bring the gospel to as many students on our campus as possible. And so in that, and if you're not passionate about that mission, if that's not, if that just doesn't excite you or whatever, well, perhaps your local parish is a better fit for you, right?
Yeah, and I think fundamentally, yes, that's why we're all here. We're here to support the mission. I think sort of from the practicality of it, it may be useful to have sort of a resident parish that is sort of self-sufficient, and then the surplus from that is supporting the grounds, the facilities, the mission, the campus ministry, and so it's a little bit more complicated.
How would that be different from what we're doing now, or how does that?
I think it would just be more intentional. There's going to be
like separate masses or something for that community.
Or kind of like a parish council almost that's focusing on the resident parish.
Okay, yeah.
That would be, anyway, the details would be,
TBD.
would be, require some thinking, but
yeah, thanks.
I think it may, there's bifurcating may be the way to get there. While being a strength of what Ryan's doing, because I think we're gonna have to add masses. I think the parish is growing. I think we're gonna have to add masses. The church is growing right now. We're in a moment of evangelization, and I think we're gonna need more. And I think the beauty, the art, the music is all part of it.
Good. Yeah, other parts.
Gosh, I have a lot of thoughts too. Well, I should say, first of all, I'm here because of the students. I absolutely adore the students, and that's what gives me energy and excites me. And I don't want to be separated out from them, because that's really the beauty and the benefit. And one thing that I noticed, and I'm so glad about having the students now, the lectures and whatnot, is I noticed at the beginning of school, the last couple of years, it's been the older folks, and typically even some of the oldest of the community for lectors and for EMs. And I think the first couple of years of school, when students come with their families, it can be very alienating for the students themselves, because they're not thinking this is a place for me.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks a little bit more like the parish that they came from, which has some benefits, but to draw them in, I love the idea of having the students there. They feel like these are my peers that I'm coming to this church, I can grow my relationship with the Lord. So that's my first thought. And it's such a privilege to be able to be here. As an adult, to be able to support. When I was a student here, this transformed my life. The reason I work for the church is because of the Newman Center.
Wow.
It's just such a beautiful place. And I feel privileged, and I feel like now I can really give back, and contribute. I didn't contribute when I was a student.
Yeah.
I don't expect the students to contribute either. A few years ago, when parking changed with Fulton, I know I connected with Michelle, she connected me with Trevor, and I connected with campus there. Do you want me to look into that again? For parking, where we can park, where we can have some sort of arrangement? Because my understanding was.
So Kathy, we've been in conversation with them. We do have a plan. Because we thought the sale was gonna close, and so we had a plan in place with the university. They have given us kind of you were in some of these meetings too. It's kind of a MacGyver solution. They don't really know how to handle us. So we're gonna eventually have a QR code that we'll be able to give everyone, but it's a process, and their system just wasn't built for us. So you know, it's in the works. Yeah, we've been lots of conversations with parking.
Partnership, well, they could go back to free parking on Sunday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ask Dr. Crow if that's.
I mean, one of the short-term challenges is if our parking lot does go away, it's gonna be, you know, they're building this apartment building for 2 years, we'll have no parking, zero parking there, and so, yeah, that's where we would try to, okay, how's this gonna work out, so.
Yeah.
There's still things up in the air, and like I said, it's part of the reality of just being a downtown, you know, urban campus, parking is always a challenge, yeah.
And then I'm wondering too, and this is for Chris, if we can really try to reach out to the alumni, because I think even if we ask for like $50 a year, something like that, that could really boost.
Yeah.
Because there are so many people who've come through the center and are now active in other parishes.
You know, Kathy, we've done some research. The university says there's about 275,000 alums in Maricopa County.
From Newman?
No, I wish. You didn't let me finish. So 275 is kind of our base number, right, just for the county. Assume 20 to 25% of those are Catholics, right, at some stage in their faith. So we're talking about 50,000 that know Newman of some regard, right? No one. I do talk to a lot of people. Most people don't know this building. You know, the oldest is about 36 that knows this. So it's that educational process. So we are making strides in that. But yeah, so we're trying to figure out how to get to those 55,000. We want to use art as a nice inroad because it is so unique, in that we want to tell the story that a student can see this on campus. That, like we said, 5-mile radius, and there's a lot of places that don't even have it. So that's our goal for this year.
And even alumni who are out of the state still.
100%.
This was a special place for them.
Absolutely.
They would like to-
I'm just using it in context to say, I mean, we have a great start at 50,000.
One of the things that, I haven't really fleshed this out yet, but Chris and I have talked about, just kind of an alumni 1% challenge. So, you know, in theory, you're tithing to your parish, wherever you might be, and, you know, maybe if you're tithing 10% of your income, maybe you give 5% to your parish, 5% to other charities. Newman would love to be the beneficiary of 1%, 1 percentage point of that. So that kind of gives them a concrete sense of like, here's a way to support you.
My last thought was, I'm wondering if it might be possible to periodically do something where we bring the social level, where we bring the students and the rest of the community together. I know we did like those dinners a couple of years ago. If there's just some way, that would be really awesome.
Yeah, we did we kind of, what we called the senior dinner, and we brought them into an alumni. That was kind of a late approach, but yeah, bringing kind of alums and.
Or just the community itself.
True. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we've done things like that in the past. I don't think we have a very systematic approach to that presently, but maybe it's something, we can think a little more about.
We're always looking for volunteers, Kathy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm wondering too, because when I was a student here, we had a lot of joint community things. So people like Margaret Warner, like a lot of those people would know what that looks like.
Right.
Where we came together, and it was beneficial as a student to have folks of all ages.
We did a lot of volunteers, like through Maggie's place is now different, but Maggie's place back then, Andre House, there was a combination of students, that was me at the time, with some of the community members doing those things.
Yeah, no.
That was.
So one of the things that we've sort of tried to do is we have our own St. Vincent de Paul staff here. It's all resident parishioners. No students are involved. And I think that's one of the things that we still working. I was curious where things stood on that, but we're trying to get our students connected with them precisely for this kind of thing. We can serve together as a community. And then we've had 1 or 2 socials in the past. Just kind of dinners or whatever. I'm not sure if are we thinking about trying to do those more?
So I think we're doing a couple. Yeah, we did. One of the things with the Centauro dinners that were kind of what that will ultimately look like, but I think that the idea with that would be kind of a hybrid of what you're talking about, where again, what it could look like could be anything. Early conversations like the 6 o'clock mass for most of us, we're not here, right? So it's primarily students on Sundays, but maybe that becomes once a semester, we open it to everyone.
That's a good idea.
You know, where that, hey, come at 6 o'clock, you're gonna get a slice of pizza, but you're gonna spend time with the students and, you know, that type of thing. Or maybe we make it a little more elaborate, but that's the plan.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, maybe once a semester for the Santoro dinner, we could just make it an open invite. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Anything else? Fine. Good. Maybe we'll just close then with the glory. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and shall be, world without end. St. John Henry Newman, pray for us. In the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Thanks guys for your presence. Thanks for your thoughts.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
I was like,
Great.
huge space.
All saints. Okay. Okay. Thank you for
Probably pricey.
Yeah, and yeah. We've talked to well, two companies have given us quotes. We have a third one in discussions now. Yeah, it's just, like, you know, and they just, I'm like, how the full chain sound systems? That's a nice great. We have just add to the, they just want to tear it all out and start over at $90,000. It's not quite our vision. I'll be back for the. Okay.
Weird.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea. I don't know if it's possible to switch those. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks. What is it called? Maybe we already talked about it. Where are they located? I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. I'm pretty sure I think they're the ones that have sort of worked on our sound system, in the past. We sort of had one of their guys that we would call out to kind of tweak things whenever we needed. But I don't know, it's just like, I've been here 2 years. It's great, you know? So,
Interesting thing is, because when Dominic came here, when he first started using it here, I was like, hey, we were just talking, I was like, do you mind like boosting the sound just for the sanctuary area? And he did, but I think there's like a fine line where it's pop, do all that sort of stuff, but it just seems like it's so low, especially if your level ears are, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Talk softly.
Yeah. So one of the things these guys have stressed over and over is that, well, in what you're speaking, like, close to the microphone can get to your mouth. So that's why like that ultra mic isn't great, because it's like right away from your mouth, right? Ammo is a little better, and the lavaliers are awesome. Actually, they were telling me they're like, you always wear glasses. They're like, yeah. They're like, they're gonna do a little thing right there. They said that's the best. That's the best because it's like right there. So yeah. So I don't know. We're trying to. It's hard.